Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Magic of Mentorship panel. We are so excited to have the Asian American Advertising Federation, also known as 3AF, on this panel. They are an Asian American collective that began their journey in 1995, focusing on the AAPI consumer. And why we're so excited to have them on this panel today is that we have exciting news. We will be partnering with the 3F to create a mentorship program. I know this is something that the Asians in advertising community has been asking for, and we couldn't think of a better partner for this. So we're going to be dropping in the link right now how you can sign up. This will be a 6-month mentorship program that, I actually was a mentor last season and I still keep in touch with my mentee. It was such a rewarding experience for me as a mentor. So we encourage you in this chat to sign up to be a mentor or a mentee. This is, we want to make sure the partnership is on both ways. I know sometimes we're a little shorter on mentors, but just know you gain so much as a mentor out of this as well. And this incredible panel will tell you more. And to be moderating this panel today, we have the managing partner and creative producer of International Secret Agents and a musician and artist. We'll also drop in Dan, aka Dan's Spotify link as well. And he's a 3AF board member. Dan Matthews to take it away.
What's going on? I'm really excited to be here. Congratulations, Bernice, and the entire team on the wonderful conference so far. Hopefully you guys are getting a lot out of it. My name is Dan. I'm on the board for 3AF, which stands for the Asian American Advertising Federation. And I am very excited to be here along with two amazing panelists. I wanted to introduce Genny Hom-Franzen, who's the executive director from 3AF, along with Melanie Salamat, who was one of our mentees from this last year, and then she's actually a video producer living in New York City. So we're gonna have some really great opinions and some conversation with them in a second. But just to set the tone, I just wanted to bring up the idea of mentorship and what exactly happened last year. So last year we had a mentorship program where we partnered about 50 mentors and 50 mentees together, and they were able to meet once a month to basically put on a wonderful program where they were able to learn from one another and get information. We also held monthly workshops, and it was a great success. And so from what I've been able to see, it was really obvious that there wasn't a lot of mentorship programs out there specifically targeting Asian American Pacific Islanders in advertising. And so it ended up being a really great cause. And we definitely had a lot of really great people that came out of it with some wonderful things that they had to say about it. And I think really got a lot out of it. Like Bernice said, some of her, I like her specifically, and then a lot of other mentors and mentees still stay in touch with one another. And it seems like that it's a lifelong friendship and a good way for them to stay in touch. So it's very exciting. And officially at this conference, this is the opportunity where we are officially launching it. And so please go to the link. You can go check that out and sign up for it. Be a mentor, be a mentee. We need as many people as possible. It's a really easy process, and please share it around your companies. We really would love to see more people sign up for it, and hopefully you all take an opportunity to get involved too. So excited to see that. We're going to be having the application up for about a month and a half, and then we'll go into the process of choosing and selecting mentors, mentees, and then we'll officially launch, I think, later in the summer, early fall. So very excited about that. Thank you all for having us. To kick things off, I wanted to introduce Genny and Melanie to basically just introduce themselves and say hello really quick. So let's first kick it off to Genny. Genny, you've been a mentor to me. I've been very happy to have you in my life. And so why don't you introduce everybody to yourself and your own experiences?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Genny Hom-Franzen. I am with the 3AF Executive Director. And as Dan and Bernice mentioned, we are the primary go-to resource when it comes to Asian advertising, Asian marketing, and the power of the Asian consumer. Oftentimes marketers kind of disregard our community. We're always last. Other people get the marketing ad dollars, the marketing ad buys, and we want to make sure that marketers understand the business case for the Asian consumer segment. So I'll turn it over to Melanie.
Hey everyone, I am Melanie Salamat. I'm currently based in New York City, and I currently work as a founding video producer at Balance, which is a digital tech startup that is based in Brooklyn. So I'm very happy to be here with you.
Great. We're excited to have both of you guys here, and please drop your questions in the chat room. I think we're keeping track of those. Hopefully we'll have some time for Q&A later on. And please drop some hearts and other emojis into the chat room too. Let's make this interactive. When we're not in person, it's tough to see your faces. And so seeing the messages, yes, all the hearts. Give me all of the hearts.
Yeah.
Let's pump
I
this
want some
up. It's
hearts
Friday.
too.
Let's go. Let's go. So the first question to start everything off, and maybe we'll start it with Melanie actually, because you were part of the program this last year.
Yes.
From your perspective, so why did you even want to get into a mentorship program? What's like a good mentor-mentee relationship for you? Why was it important for you?
Yeah. So I was really interested in having a mentor because currently at this time last year, I was going through a career transition. And so I was coming out from teaching elementary students for the past 3 years. It's what I did in college. I got my bachelor's degree in that. And at this time, COVID was hitting, there was hybrid teaching. And I thought, I think I do really want to try something else, something that's going to really elevate my creative liberty and also kind of train me in that too. And so having a mentor that is specialized in something like that, and then seeing this program come up last year, I was like a light bulb went to my head, and I thought, oh, this is perfect, and it's targeted toward API community. And so having a mentor who ended up being Pam Yang, co-founder of Agency DEI, she was amazing, and she was having someone in your corner that is
Yeah.
open to your questions and you feel empowered by them. And they, of course, might not have all the answers, but they're going to help you find them with you. I think is such a valuable part of adulting, even especially if you're an early stage, like you just graduated or you're only a few years out of college. And so having a mentor has only been extremely valuable experience for me this past year, especially with 3AF.
Wonderful, wonderful. And then Genny, from your perspective, again, you've been a mentor for me and for so many other people. Why is mentorship so important from your perspective? And then maybe you can give maybe a brief example of either this last year or like a previous experience where you were a mentor and what you got out of it.
Sure, sure. I would say for me as a mentor, it's my turn to give back and to pay it forward. I'm a bit older than most of you guys on the call, and I didn't have really that sort of a mentor relationship when I was working in either corporate America or at the ad agencies. And it was sometimes difficult. People didn't really understand some of the cultural issues I was going through, or, would treat me in a stereotypical way. And I didn't know what to do. Now I know what to do and what to say. And so that's why I think it's important for me to help our younger generation. I want to see more Asian faces at the top echelon.
Wonderful, wonderful. One of the things, just to kind of highlight that, and maybe speaking from my own perspective, I think especially this last year that the mentorship program came about at a time when a lot of young Asian Americans were thrust into their companies into a position where they had to speak on behalf of all Asian Americans. A lot of people
Exactly.
never had really been in that position before, where they had to really, I think critically about what it really meant to have to be Asian in your company. And with a lot of the anti-Asian hate that was going on over the last 2 years, that their companies kind of pushed them into the position where they became the Asian voice for all of their company. And we found that was extremely overwhelming for a lot of people. Not only just to be having to go through a lot of these things yourself, but then to have to be able to vocalize and have to be the voice of your company to say these things.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, that just became what a lot of people went through. And so
right.
I think that the mentorship program actually came out about at a really great time where a lot of people were able to connect with older generations and people that were able to give them advice on how to, I think, process that and to properly go through it. So we really appreciate that. And for those that were able to participate, wonderful thing. Oh, Jenny, do you want to
I
say
was going to
something?
say, culturally, we're taught from a very young age, you don't speak up. You just are quiet, head down, do your work. And then to be thrust in that position where you have to, you're Asian, you speak to the company about anti-Asian hate. You're kind of like shy at at that level, but you think, we do need to collectively find our voice and speak up. And it's hard, and you just kind of have to slowly get over it. But our community needs us.
Yeah. Actually, while we're on this topic, then Melanie, do you have any maybe stories about that where you had to kind of just be thrust into the as the voice of your company, or you had to, or even like you personally, did you feel like that you needed to speak up on it on behalf of the company, and then did a mentor help you clarify your voice?
Yeah, recently, at least in New York City, as Asian American hate was rising, and there were multiple cases of like things in the subway and like just feeling endangered while commuting, which has been at least part of my life for living all in New York City. At the time, I was currently the only Asian at my company. And so we're a pretty small team anyway. We've hired more Asians since then for other roles, but at the time, I didn't feel safe on the subway. And so I spoke to my manager and I said, hey, so I want to like set the tone that right now it feels that the Asian American community and Asians in general are feeling not very safe at the time, especially in New York City, especially in Brooklyn, you know, taking the subway and all the trains. And so I think it'd be really powerful if we could pay for Ubers to get here into your house. You know, a lot of us were based in Manhattan or Brooklyn. And I said, you know, I think it'd be great if we could expense that, you know, put that in the budget for the upcoming hires that are coming in the pipeline the next few months. I think that'd be a really powerful statement. And it also says to whoever comes on team, hey, your safety is important and we care about this community. And so my boss was all aboard. She was
Good.
totally okay with it. She put in the budget and we moved forward with it. And so now most expenses at that time were covered and are still being covered now.
Wonderful. No, that's
That's
a
good.
really
That's
good for
great.
you for speaking up
Yeah.
and making that a part of your company culture. Wonderful.
Mm.
So from the mentorship perspective, I guess just continuing to hone in on the just being Asian American and mentors mentees. I've been hearing a lot of stories about how non-Asian counterparts have like 5 mentors, or they've got like 6 or there's a lot of people that they're learning from. Maybe Genny, you could answer first from your perspective. How come there like mentorship isn't a bigger part of the community, or how come we're not taught to find mentors? And what can maybe younger or older people in the industry do to make it happen a lot more frequently?
I think, for us, Asians are more shy and it's hard for us to ask for help. So I think that could be part of the reason why. But it is actually smart for you to have plenty of people in your network. And I actually had could we show that pyramid now if we have it? Um, you should actually have lots of people in your network that can be in your support group and super, super. So I wanted to show this, and again, this is something that I wish I had when I was younger. But you want to have all these people in your network, and as I speak to them, to the levels, try to think about who in your network could be these people for you. Your manager, obviously, you have to have that connection with him or her. They speak to you. A coach would listen to you. Above that is your mentor. They would advise you. And then at the very top, maybe it's someone at the peak of their career. They would speak for you and open the doors. And if you think about it, all these people have a big network that you could tap into. So that's a broader group that you could actually make connections and maybe get ahead and stand out.
This is a great pyramid. Thank you for sharing this. Quick question from the audience. They asked, is an advocate similar to the role of a sponsor? Could you maybe just talk a little more about the advocate role?
Well, for me, the advocate role really is that person will advocate for you, right? Like they're at the higher echelons of either the agency world or corporate world, and they could make connections for you, open doors. Um, that's the word I use instead of sponsor. They will really, help promote you.
Mm.
Got it. Understood. No, thank you for sharing that. And then, Melanie, from your perspective, as you're talking to maybe people around you, or like other people that are just newer to the industry,
Mm.
are you guys currently looking for mentors? Is this something that just like it's just naturally within you that you've learned from college or from just being in the industry a short amount of time? Are you currently just looking for other mentors? How do you find it from the perspective of you and your peers?
I think nowadays, now that I've been around a year in what I'm doing now, the thought of having a mentor is more common because my bosses are really big on networking and talking to people.
Mhm.
And it doesn't have to be anything that's formal really through a program, but literally just asking a question and then that can lead to, oh, well, I know this person who can help you here.
Yeah.
I do recall back in college, mentors weren't talked about as much formally, at least when I was doing education. But we knew throughout our 4 years that we were taught to ask veteran teachers, like, how would you approach this, um, teaching this to the kids, or how would you go about changing this lesson plan that I have right here? So mentors were always there in the teacher sense for me. And I
Mhm.
think that helped to build when I finally broke into a different industry of, okay, I have to ask questions that will help me to lead to other people who will be able to share their wisdom with me.
No, that's a really, really good point. I actually, when I think back at when I was in college and getting into the industry, I had a lot of people that I didn't necessarily like. I didn't actively look for mentors, but I
Mhm.
think that I definitely owe a lot of my success though to the people that were already in the industry, that were
Yeah.
already doing cool things, and a lot of the people that I met while during that time that were a little bit older than me, that were working in an industry that I really wanted to get into. I work with them now permanently. It's weird how you don't know what type of relationships will turn into later on.
Exactly.
I found that um, it's not a mean thing to say, but like as we get older, we just get lazy, and like we want to find probably the quickest and most efficient solution to some of our problems, and oftentimes that's just looking at the people around you and the people that you've already worked with, you can trust, and as long as you're a good individual and you've made a good impact on whoever it is that was your mentor or the people that were looking out for you, chances are that there's probably an opportunity to get involved in that way. And I think for a lot of
Yeah.
the people that I would consider to be mentees at my company, or people that I've met, that they're the first pool of people that I pull from to be able to get involved and to get into the industry. And then actually, if you guys out there, I would love to know from your own perspectives in the chat room, if you guys are, who here are mentees. Have you guys done a good job at like looking into other situations? Like, would love to like hear some of your stories in the chat room too. We'll highlight that a little bit later on. Melanie, you actually said something really interesting, which is you didn't necessarily know where to look at first, and sometimes it is a little bit tough to speak up. And Jenny, you kind of highlighted this. So one of the things, just to like tangibly get into it, is that what are some like really good tips for mentees and mentors during the situation? A lot of times, like sometimes a mentee mentor connection will just be the two of them saying hello, and like that's basically it. And some people have a really difficult time at like asking the right questions or like really trying to engage, because from the mentee standpoint you're like, I don't want
Right.
to bother this person, like
Yeah.
they're like
Yeah.
so, and from the mentor standpoint you're like, what does this person want to like, I'm here to, I made the time. And
Right.
so
Right.
maybe
Right.
Jenny first, what
Yeah.
are some good
Sure.
tips from like the mentor
Yeah.
stand, how can you pull that out of the mentee?
Yeah, so I know it's tough. You're going to be talking to a stranger, and stranger danger and all that. And I think for the mentee, just know that the mentors have volunteered. They're excited to help you, and they want to help you. So just kind of like take a deep breath, and start your relationship with them, build some rapport, find out about them. It's a two-way street. You could be asking the mentor for advice, but the mentor may need advice from you, get fresh new ideas from a younger person. So just think of it as, you're going to build a friendship over time. It's not going to happen overnight.
Right. And then Melanie, what about you? What are your tips for mentees as they're uh, learning from the mentor? How do you pull out the information from the mentor? And like, how do you make it, um, I don't want to say worth your time because it's always worth your time, but how do you like really get it out?
Yeah, so I was that person in the very beginning of the program, just saying hello and
Yeah,
not
yeah.
knowing what to
It's
say.
it's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, but what I've learned from it is that my best advice for mentees would be to come prepared to each meeting with like a one-on-one agenda and being able to schedule that on a regular cadence. At least for us, it was once a month. And that was something I personally had to work on, but it was a process that became easier over time.
Mhm.
So I realized that mentors are generous and kind people, and they have a wealth of knowledge, but they are busy people too. And so I think that's where the pressure on the mentee feels like, oh, I might be I like wasting their time. I want this to be worthwhile. And that's where the pressure can come in. But I do feel like it is on the mentee as due diligence to do a little bit of research on the mentor. What does their kind of like the ladder of their career so far? You can see it on LinkedIn. Like, what have they done so far? Does any of it interest you? Something that helped me was setting up a running Google Doc as our one-on-one agenda, and we could visit this each week. We talk about the different topics that I'm interested in, and I would set up about 3 to 4 questions about that topic and talk about how can I approach it. So some things I spoke about in our sessions were job clarity, because I was going through a career transition, salary negotiation, how do I speak confidently at work, right? It's like the little things too, networking, and even copy on like a coffee chat invitation of what you send on LinkedIn if you want to reach out to someone and cold reach them, like can you look over what I just wrote? Can you, fix it up a little bit, make it a little snappier, and but still let them know that this is what I'm interested in. And so there's little things here and there that definitely will help. And so the more that you come prepared to your one-on-one with your mentor, the more fruitful that it's going to be. And so sending this doc to them even a few days prior to your meeting is going to help, because then the mentor is able to prepare for what you're interested in talking about, and they'll be able to come to the meeting more well-informed and even possibly do their own research on your behalf, because their role as a mentor is to empower you to eventually build up your own confidence and do what you want to do in your field.
Yeah, I really like what you said, Melanie, about being prepared. Just think through, what do you want out of this relationship with the mentor? Is it career advice? Do you want me to introduce you to 10 key people that you need to know? Maybe there's a political situation at the office and you need help. Just be candid. That person, we are here to help you. And the more you can help us help you, the better.
Exactly. The more that we can help our mentors, it helps the mentee as well in the long run.
Yeah, no, I really like all this advice. And I also think that like mentor, it doesn't necessarily need to be a program either. I think that Melanie, you brought up that you did some cold calling, or you did some LinkedIn searching, or just met people randomly. And that one of my, even though I wasn't necessarily in a formal mentorship program, that one of the things I always did when in-person events were happening was I'd try to I'd make it a goal to meet like 3 people and build a serious relation, or like just try to like build the communication during that event. So that way at the end of it, I could like meet up with them later on and be able to do coffee or like just follow up. And that's always been like really, really helpful. So I would recommend maybe in this perspective where you guys are in Zoom and hopefully it's pretty easy to like ping people or like message them directly. Find 3 people that you found interesting during this program, whether they're a mentor level or just another mentee, and like build that relationship, because I think that it'll just help you guys build it up. Everybody generally, from what I've seen, like especially post pandemic, everybody is like very in the mood to like meet other people. So make it a goal to like really, I think, do that, because I think people are really in the mood to like give back. Jenny, you were going to say something?
I was just going to say it's easier now, to reach out on social media or LinkedIn and make those connections. And they are very critical. I still keep in touch with people that I met, 30 something years ago. So.
And then I know that they're going to be talking about networking a little bit later on in another session, but just that would be my biggest tip for you, is find a good mentor coming out. If you can like walk away from this conference with one good mentor, like that's a solid win. So
I fill in all those people in my pyramid. 4 people. We want 4 people.
Yes, and sign up for the program, most importantly. I want to highlight really quick, David Ty in the chat room said, our company implemented a mentorship program called Reach and allows anyone to be a mentor-mentee. They should try to pair us up based on our interests, experience levels, disciplines. It's been going great so far, such a big impact for our employees for a low commitment, couple hours of meetings per month. We believe anyone can contribute. You don't need to be necessarily a senior executive or have 5+ years of experience to be a mentor. Totally agree. I think that like as long as there's something that you can give to provide to be able to like teach and learn, I think that you can be a great mentor in any situation. So great comment. To bring it back to this is Asians in advertising. To bring it maybe a little bit more back to like the Asian American topic, for the both of you, is there a is there a difference with having like an Asian American mentor? Is it important for somebody? Like, what are the gains, or like why is that maybe different than having a mentor or mentee from a different background? So maybe Melanie, you can kick it off.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like being able to talk to someone that has a similar lived experience as you really unlocks different parts of your conversation. And so, as I said before, mine was Pam. She's incredible. And she's the kind of mentor that really led our sessions with empathy. And then at the same time, she would challenge things that I would say. And so she has this distinct interpersonal skill where she'll challenge my self limits and then also figure out, are they internal or are they from external forces, which is where um, uh, like my Asian identity comes in. And so I remember our very first meeting, she would ask me, oh, what are your reservations with leaving the teaching profession, right? And I remember saying, hey, well, to mix some nerves, changing careers is a little scary. I studied all of this in college. Will I be able to find a job? Being a teacher is really sustainable. It's a safe career. And she pushed further in that, in what I responded. And we ended up talking about the pressure of being a first gen Asian American and the kind of life that we desire to have for the sake of our parents. And so I told her and we engaged with the fact that growing up, my mom wanted me to be a nurse, classic Filipino, classic Filipino occupation. And she wanted us all to go into medical field or healthcare because she knows that that's safe and it's something that's going to sustain you, salary is good, things like that. And we talked about having to fulfill your parents' desires of success and stability. And as I thought about going into marketing, advertising, or video production, I saw it as this is a creative job. It's less digestible. There's more question marks around it. Is it easy to understand for our parents? Will they be able to know what we're doing and think that we're going to have a successful future through it? And having her understand that side of me
Yeah.
really amplified our conversations because she was able to approach her advice from like a more in-depth level of where she advocated for me through what she shared with me. And so us sharing that identity was so fruitful in our conversations, and it was amazing.
Mm-hmm. And then Genny, what about you?
I think it makes a lot of sense to, have a mentor that's your same cultural background as Melanie stated. We have the same sort of issues and grew up with, our parents. You're going to go into what? Marketing? No, 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 no. You're supposed to be an accountant or a lawyer or a doctor.
Yeah.
And, that's like, that was one stumbling block. But that connects you to your mentor because they probably had that same issue. So I think it is critical. It's just more of a understanding and you can connect better because you have that cultural similarities.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then even from my own perspective, I'm a Korean adoptee. I didn't actually grow up with an Asian identity or background, and so it's interesting. Even from my perspective, I think that really it is tough to get around the fact that like I grew up as an Asian facing individual, and so it has been important for me to have Asian American mentors because they've generally you don't get around what people see you as, and so I think that even from that perspective, it's interesting because I didn't necessarily grow up with that background of having Asian cultural things that I could connect with my mentor on, but I still grew up having an Asian face, and no matter what, you can't get around that. So very great points. Um, I know that we've been talking about like mentorship programs, external facing. What about like inside of a company? Do companies do a good job at putting on like mentorship programs or like even like leadership? How should people that are working at a company, how can you get good leadership development without a formal mentorship program? Have you found that like either the bosses or the people that work for your companies, have they been pretty adaptable at trying to develop leadership? Genny, from your experience actually at former companies you've worked at, have there been good opportunities for people to learn from one another? Was it a part of the company culture? What do you have to say about that?
I think now there's much more of a focus on the value of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So more companies are knowing that it's important and trying to figure out how they're going to do it, how they can get diverse talent and really step up their hiring efforts. Just at 3AF, we've been approached by lots of companies who want more information on how to reach Asian marketing people and Asian consumers. So that's a good sign. That they're looking at it. We're on the radar. Some of my
Right.
past companies may not have had that much of a focus, but now especially there's more of a focus on the value of diversity, equity, inclusion.
Mm-hmm. And then Melanie, what about you? Kind of mentioned before that it sounds like your current boss or companies you've worked with have been pretty um, um, great at being able to like learn and listen to you with new ideas. But has it been a part of the culture outside of you being able to speak up? Have you seen that there's been leadership opportunities for you to like learn more?
Yeah, it might not be as formal currently. Our full team is only about maybe 12, 13 people. And so we don't really have official mentor programs right now, but something that we do is that when part of the onboarding process is you get matched with someone in the company, and they're called your balance buddy. And there's someone that
I like that.
they walk you through onboarding. And these are more of the casual things too. It could be like, well, how do you set up all your tooling and organization? What are some tricks that's going to help me do my job better here? And so usually what they do is also it'll be cross department. And so if you're within the same department, they'll match you with someone outside. So for example, someone that's on our product team is matched with someone on our video production team, or someone on our physical therapy is matched with a creative director. And so you're able to get this taste of different parts of the company, and be able to learn from the other person through your onboarding process. So it's not official, but it is our first stab at kind of functional team bonding, as well as, hey, let me help you at your first 2 weeks here.
No, I love that. I love that. I need a balance buddy just in life. That would be great. I
Oh,
think that
yeah, me
everybody
too.
every
We all
two
want one.
years everybody should be assigned a balance buddy to make sure that you're balancing yourself out. I would actually
Yeah.
everybody do that. Hashtag balance buddy. Um, so we're leading into we've got 15 minutes left. We want to go into some of these questions from the audience. Thank you guys so much for providing these questions so far. And I also want to shout out, we've gotten 42 signups so far. Bernice just messaged me for the mentorship program so far. If
In
we
one
get
fell swoop
over,
right now.
if you guys give me 60, if you give me 60, I'll do something exciting. I'll give you, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
know what that is,
That's a
but
promise.
let's get 60, and then that's a Dan promise. All right. Anyway, so sign up, and then also like very important, we need more mentors, and so please, I haven't looked at the form myself, but it's always more difficult getting mentors than mentees, and so if you have a lot of experience in the industry and are excited to give back, please sign up. Love it, love it, love it.
Yeah, and can I just add, last time when we had the Next Gen group, Dan and his team really did a great job pairing people together. And I'm hearing that a lot of those mentorship pairs are still, continuing to get together on a regular basis and keep the conversation going. So that tells me they did a really good job matching. So
And then
that's one
actually,
more plug.
yeah, and then if I could really, I wanted to shout out and give roses to Clara, Natalie, and
Yeah.
Jesselyn. Jesselyn is one of the founders of Asians in Advertising, and Clara and Natalie, they came out like it was purely like 80% all of them. They did such a wonderful job. They're like my favorite people, and I found out like it's interesting meeting people just through Zoom and never meeting them in person, but we really got to know each other really well. So they were amazing mentors and really great people to put together the last year program. So yeah, please shout them out, message them, and let them know how good of a job they did, because they did such a good job. All right, so one of the questions we've got here is, can you talk about the nurturing of a relationship where you may have seasons where you need mentorship and others that you don't, but you don't want to lose the relationship of that person that was your mentor? So how do you maintain that relationship?
I can take that. I think, everyone's busy, like you said, and, life goes on, but you can still keep in touch. You can find out when their birthday is, send them a happy birthday note, or just on social media, say hi or whatever, and just keep that continued conversation going. It doesn't take very long, but just kind of, like I said, build that relationship so you can do that. And, your friendship will still continue, hopefully, if you have that strong connection. You might not talk to that person for 3 weeks, 3 months, whatever, but they're still your friend, they're still your mentor, they still will help you if you make that effort.
And then Melanie, what about you from your perspective?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's helpful to not overthink it. Sometimes if there's kind of a dry time, even if it's like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, it really doesn't hurt to send over an email or a text or a message and say, hey, thinking of you and all that you've been doing for your company. Or even if you see a post that they have on LinkedIn of something that they've worked on and they're sharing, you can even comment on that. And that can be kind of like a soft re-entry of communication, or message them independently from that and say like, hey, I saw what you did in this, and this. Congratulations. That looks so great. I'd love to catch up on it and hear what's going on. And so no time is too long. I can imagine from the mentor position that if you receive a text from someone like 3 months, 4 months, you're not thinking anything negatively about them. It's really like, I'm so glad that you reached out to me. Like, let's catch up, let's talk.
No, I love that a lot. This next question is actually a really good, this is a really important question. What happens when you match with a mentee or a mentor and you don't hit it off? Do you maintain that? Like, how do you salvage it? What would you recommend, either A, from your perspective as the mentee or mentor, and then B, as the program? What would you recommend? I've got my own thoughts, but want to maybe have you guys share your thoughts first. So Genny, why don't you answer first?
That's a tough one. I think you should still try, to build that rapport, and, maybe the sort of time period where it's awkward is just taking longer in your perspective, but still make that gallant effort to make that connection and talk to the mentor and get through that. And I guess if worse comes to worse, and it's really not working out and you see that for both of you, then I would say go to the program organizers and try to tell them, I've tried this, I've tried that. Maybe there's something that they can do to intervene. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, I would say the exact same thing as Genny. If it doesn't work out after a little bit, if it just becomes a session that's really talking about work or business, then it's you're still finding it a little bit helpful or fruitful, then it could potentially go on. But as Genny said, if not, then I would say reach out to the program and let them know about it.
Yeah. I know that during the program, specifically for our program this last year, that there were probably a couple of mentors and mentees that would meet, and maybe after like the first or second meeting, they just stopped. There wasn't like a good engagement after that. And I think that it is often tough, especially with people that you've never met before. I think really hit it off immediately. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, which is why I think that we really try to do a good job at like matching people specifically in like similar career field, but then also with similar interests. I think that you can really hopefully get a lot out of the idea of meeting people that like maybe you're both into rowing or you're both into like sci-fi. And so hopefully that builds the relationship too. And we really, really try to like partner people with similar interests as well. But again, like the both of them just mentioned, that is a really good point. I think that you should definitely try to make it work. I think that from both ends, there needs to be some level of hopefully just trying to like get the conversation going. You're in the program for a reason. Hopefully the both of you guys wanted to be there. But there isn't like really any reason to like also continue to have it happen if there really isn't a relationship there, and that it's better not to waste either of your guys' time. And hopefully one person doesn't mean that you're not going to be a good mentor or mentee. You're going to find a good match with somebody eventually. And so hopefully if that happens, you guys can let us know. Bernice says 61 signups.
Now you have to do your promise, Dan.
My promise, which is nothing. I didn't commit to anything, so it doesn't affect me. Boom. All right. Got you guys. That's how good I am at advertising this program.
Oh,
I love it. All right. And then let's do one more of these questions. I think that we're getting into the final amount of times let's see.
I have an idea while you're looking for a question of something I wanted to relay.
Please go. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say to everyone that, we're in marketing and advertising. You guys actually have a lot of power. A client could come in and say, I want to start this campaign for Asian consumers. And, your boss or manager will say, do we have anyone on staff who can do that? Absolutely. Yes, you can help with that. And that would be important for our community. And then on the flip side of that, what if a client comes through, internal or external, and they want to do something and you can see it's not a good thing. It's a stereotypical campaign. It doesn't reach Asian consumers. It's not in Asian media. you can also try to stop that. So I just want to make that plug for all of you, working in marketing and advertising. You have a lot of power at your agency and at your company to really be champions for our community and raise the flag and advocate for us.
No, I love that. Here's a good question. How do you ask someone influential in your company to be your advocate? What's the best way to approach that relationship in the beginning? What's a good way to, maybe there's not a formal mentorship program or a thing that's happening. What's a good way for you to be able to approach that person to either advocate for you more at the company or to become your mentor?
I think you have to just slowly over time develop that rapport with that person. Maybe try to have lunch or just get to know them, and then you can make the ask. You just can't walk in and say hi. Just make sure you make that effort and ease into it. I think I'm sure they'll be pleased and honored, but build that rapport a little bit first.
Yeah, I agree. Get to know them as a human first before anything.
Make small chat.
Yeah, before
chat.
Looking at it as something like transactional, like, oh, what can I learn from this person? Because that is a healthy question, but that should come much longer after you've gotten to know them as a person and like what's their personality, what's so many things you can learn about them. And then I would say leading up to potentially asking for them to be an advocate could be sharing with them what are projects that you're working on that perhaps you can get their feedback on, their review of, so that they're getting little glimpses into what you're doing. And then as this builds up and your relationship grows, then eventually you can reach the point where you can ask them about advocacy.
No, I like that a lot. Let's maybe do one more question that I'm kind of interested in, which is, what if you're partnered with what's a good way to, if it's a non-Asian American, a mentor or mentee situation? Have you guys either been in a situation like that where maybe you've had difficulty, I think, speaking up or building more of a connection? Is there do you find there's a difference? There shouldn't be a difference. I'm gonna make sure that I emphasize that. But let's just be real. Are there maybe some tips and tricks to kind of get over the hump?
I think if your mentor isn't Asian, they should still be able to help you. They've managed to, get to the higher levels of their career as well, and they can give you some concrete career advice. And, I think just over time, as you build that rapport and relationship with them, they'll get to know you and maybe understand more about how you are as a person. They should still be able to help you, though, with your career questions and networking.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that I haven't experienced a strong difference between the two. I guess it was just the first small talks have probably been different. There's less, at least for me, there would be less to connect about, but that could be easily fixable if you ask them, what music do you listen to? What's your favorite movies? The more interpersonal things about them. And then that can eventually build into the growth of their relationship.
Great. Love all of these kind words and all of the things that you guys are saying. Thank you guys so much for your questions. We're getting into the wrap up, and maybe for the final question from the group, do you have any good learnings you can share on how to structure a successful mentorship program? What are some things maybe even that we should consider as which is brainstorm a little bit, how can we structure a good mentorship program for all of you guys? So Genny, are there any ideas, or Melanie from the last year, are there any things that we can do to make sure this is a really good program, or how do you structure a good program?
Yeah, I think it starts out with doing a good job pairing people together. It takes time, but those who are organizing it need to put the right people together and do a good job doing that. And then I think the program needs to have structure. Right now we're in this virtual world still. So for 3F and our mentorship program, we had everyone meet separately, the mentor and the mentee on their own, at least once a month. And then we would also have a program topic, gathering people together on Zoom for a virtual program, virtual speaker. And that kind of set sort of a structure, if you will. And then I think that kind of helped the pairs reach out to one another because they knew, next Monday is our program meeting. See you there, And so I think that helps to make it more of a regular kind of experience.
And then Melanie, what about you?
I would say from the mentee position, I think something that would be really helpful during the start of a program would be providing perhaps resources for mentees, because as we talked about before, sometimes it feels like we can scramble to think of topics to talk about with the mentors. And so maybe starting off with like a list of things that mentees can bring up with their mentors, and then throughout the program, maybe having a collective doc across the mentees of what are the things you talked about in your sessions, and then share them across the mentees, maybe a whole Excel spreadsheet even, like, oh, this is what I talked about. And it could just be like a list, and it can be anonymous too, but I think giving mentees kind of a group of things for them to fall on if they're running up empty would be extremely helpful, and just get their minds flowing and gears grinding, because sometimes it can be a little overwhelming to think of all the things we want to ask mentors and put them all into like 30 minutes or an hour of their time.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful.
That's true.
Great. We will implement that into this year's program. Love it. Cool. Well, we're in the last 5 minutes. I wanted to maybe give Genny, if you want to just shout out, we have a conference coming up next week.
Yes,
So
I was going to
if
ask
you want to
you.
maybe just do any final plugs from the both of you.
Sure.
How do people find you? Anything you want to talk about, Genny?
Yeah. Well, as Dan mentioned, the 3AF, we put on the largest national conference focusing on the Asian consumer segment. We do it every year. You know, sadly, we had to pivot. It used to be in Las Vegas, Los Angeles, but it's virtual, and it's next week, May 10th through the 12th. Thanks for putting the link in the chat. So we have 3 great days of programming. May 10th is what we call our Asian Boot Camp. That's designed for marketers who are new to Asian marketing or those who need a refresher course. Day 2 is a deep dive into Asian marketing and advertising segments with case studies, subject matter experts. We have people from the census who are going to do a deep dive into the census results from 2020. And then the last day is our focus day on diversity, equity, and inclusion and the power of employee resource groups. And I'll be moderating a panel called The Power of ERGs Igniting Change in Corporate America. So I hope you guys can all join. Tickets are still available. You can find the link at our website, 3af.org. It's next week, May 10th through the 12th.
Love it. And then Melanie, what about you?
I will, well, you can find me on LinkedIn, just with my name, Melanie Salamat. If you'd like to talk about career transitioning or hear about experience from going from something such as teaching all the way through video production, that's something I can definitely share about. It's been quite the journey, and so I'd be more than happy to talk to anyone about it if you'd like to connect with me on it.
Great, great. And then from just my end, would love to, again, just thank Asians in Advertising so much for having us on today.
Yeah,
We're very grateful. It's been amazing getting to know Bernice and the team over the last couple of years. They've done, over the last year, it seems like a couple of years because they've been popping off, but it's been wonderful being able to see them. And so please continue to stay engaged. Hopefully we're going to do some in-person programs later on this year. And so please stay in touch with us. We'll announce it. We had a great in-person event in Los Angeles this last December. And so hopefully we'll do another one of those pretty soon, because we'd love to see you guys in person. And then from my own personal plug, we're getting ready. There's going to be a big Asian American concert celebration. I'm going to put the website in here, but BI, who's a big K-pop star, and some other artists are performing. It's our annual celebration called Identity. And so please check it out. It's on the Amazon Music channel. I'm currently producing that and would love for you guys to all watch it. And then please follow me, Dan, aka Dan, on social media. Got to do the plug, please. Dan, aka Dan, and then find me on LinkedIn, and would love to see you guys there. But again, we're really honored to be here, and we sincerely appreciate everybody's time. And so continue to interact, continue to do your thing, and be good people. All right, we got 2 more minutes. Melanie, do you want to say anything?
Sign up for the program. Sign up for the mentorship program.
Actually, wait, where did we land?
Wait.
Bernice, where are we at
It
right
was
now?
more than 61 10 minutes ago.
If
So
we're
maybe
over
it's more than
70,
that.
nothing's going to happen, but we got to be over 70. Let's go.
I closed it because there were so many. Hold on.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
No, I didn't close
we're-
the thing. I just closed my tab. I was like, oh, we made it. Okay.
All right, are we over 70?
70, exactly.
Oh,
Whoa!
wow.
All right,
Oh,
nothing's going
Okay.
to happen, but great job, everybody. We
Nothing.
really appreciate it. I'm going to be a
I
salesperson.
do recall seeing a question in the chat asking, would you say the onus of setting up meetings should be more on the mentees or the mentor? From a mentee standpoint, I would say more on the mentees.
The mentee
I
definitely
think
needs to take,
that
yeah,
if
yeah,
you're,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, as a mentee, if you're able to start it up yourself and like come in with what you want to learn, it makes it so much like more helpful for the mentor, and also you get a lot more out of it. So the
Yep.
mentors are there to help you, but mentees, I think, go for it. Like go and ask your questions.
Right. I mean, it's
My mentee did a reoccurring invite that we still have because of when she set it up. I think she set it up
Wow.
indefinitely, and I actually kind of like it. I just like, oh, it's
Oh.
time to meet again, or we'll skip that week, but we still
Yeah,
meet once a
yeah.
month. And I was like, is this program even over? I don't even know. So
Yeah, I think it should be on the mentee to take ownership of that and make sure it's organized. And, after a while, Melanie, if you were my mentee, I'd be like, oh, that Melanie, so impressive.
And then get this book, Get Rise, Asian American
yeah.
Pop History.
And Jeff Yang is
Go
speaking
get
at
it.
3AF. So yeah,
Yes.
you gotta
so
come to our summit.
so many links. We have to drop them all in there and catch up. There is a link document that's getting circulated. So you have all the links. I know every one of our panels we have like 100 of these links come through. So there is a doc with all of them on there. But thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it. Don't forget, sign up for the 3AF Summit next week.